Today we will start the first formal class for the students in the rehabilitation department. Today I will briefly talk about Zhi Neng Qigong. In our rehabilitation center, the introduction to Zhi Neng Qigong must be adapted to the specific conditions of our rehabilitation department students. This is how we will explain it. The previous classes did not differentiate between our rehabilitation center and the training center, because the main goal of the students when practicing is different in the first stage. This matter was not given attention. Therefore, the introduction to Zhi Neng Qigong was the same for everyone. To improve our teaching and allow each student from each department to better integrate the class content into their practice, and thus achieve our learning goals more effectively. That is why we will separate the explanations. Some veteran students have heard previous introductions to Zhi Neng Qigong, and what we will talk about today will not be exactly the same as what was said before. I hope that our veteran students have the correct perspective regarding the inconsistency between previous and current classes. Now we will introduce the characteristics of Zhi Neng Qigong. Not according to the 9 main characteristics taught in the training department. We will no longer do it that way. We will mainly focus on students from the rehabilitation department, on how they can practice better and heal their illnesses. This is how we will describe the characteristics of Zhi Neng Qigong. The characteristics we will discuss today will mainly focus on 4 aspects. Mainly on 4 aspects. These 4 aspects are the ones we mentioned in the opening ceremony, that Zhi Neng Qigong is an advanced and cutting-edge science, a new and complex science. We will combine all of this in our explanation, because we briefly mentioned in the opening ceremony that Zhi Neng Qigong is an advanced science, a cutting-edge and complex science. It is the frontier science, a complex science. It is still a new science. With this science, our colleagues from the rehabilitation department, although they suffer from different illnesses, and although doctors say these illnesses cannot be treated, nevertheless, our Zhi Neng Qigong can create miracles. It can heal these illnesses. I also briefly mentioned some issues, but there was little time in the opening ceremony. It was not possible to explain all these issues in detail. That was just a general explanation, through a very simple introduction, so that the colleagues can build confidence that Zhi Neng Qigong can overcome their illnesses. Some colleagues, after listening, may have formed in their minds the idea that Zhi Neng Qigong is something new. It has great power, can overcome diseases. Perhaps some people, after listening to the opening ceremony lecture, may reach this point. But for many more colleagues, they probably still have many doubts. Why is this so? Why can Zhi Neng Qigong treat so many diseases? It is still unclear. So today we will introduce Zhi Neng Qigong. and its characteristics in all aspects to clarify these questions for everyone. Zhi Neng Qigong can treat all kinds of diseases. And after we all arrive at the center, the practice is basically the same for everyone. At first, we all practice Peng Qi Guan Ding Fa, San Zin Zhuang, drawing in the Qi. That's right. Why can it cure all our different diseases? Can it cure all our different diseases? This is a fundamental characteristic of Zhi Neng Qigong. What is it? That is Zhi Neng Qigong. It has a special theoretical system. That is the theoretical system of Hun Yuanqi. Zhi Neng Qigong. Its theory is holistic in nature. It sees anything as a whole. How is this whole formed? It can be formed by a special substance called Hun Yuanqi, which makes anything become a whole. Here I need to explain to you the theory of Hun Yuanqi. When we were teaching before, the theory of Hun Yuanqi was taught as a separate lesson. Now we, for students who have already attended the classes, will not teach the theory of Hun Yuanqi in that way. We will explain it in a simpler manner, more clearly, so that all of you can understand it after hearing it. We will explain it in a simpler manner. The theory of Hun Yuanqi, that is to say, in this human body, in nature, in the entire universe, there is a special substance. This substance was already mentioned in the theory of Qìgōng. It is one that has no shape or image, invisible and intangible. Modern science has proven that it is an objective existence, but it is still not clear what kind of substance it is. It is still not clear. This is something like Hun Yuanqi. This Hun Yuanqi exists within the human body. It exists in nature. And this Hun Yuanqi has different levels. In the universe, there is a very basic type of Hun Yuanqi. This Hun Yuanqi is the most basic element that generates all things in our universe. The most basic material condition. Although now in the universe, there are materials of very complex and different levels. However, all these substances come from the evolution of the original Hun Yuanqi. This is one perspective, a perspective within the theory of Hun Yuanqi. Everyone must understand this. This Hun Yuanqi is everywhere in the universe, everywhere. And it can evolve into different levels of matter. Because modern science says that our universe has evolved from a very simple form of matter. And there are many similarities with our theory of Hun Yuanqi. Of course, the evolution of the universe described by current science, and the universe's evolution according to the Hun Yuanqi theory of Zhi Neng Qigong are not exactly the same. But the Hun Yuanqi theory also considers that everything in the universe has evolved from the original Hun Yuanqi. So far, the world has become very complex. But there is still an enormous, immeasurable amount of original Hun Yuanqi in the universe. This Hun Yuanqi is also the second material condition for life and the transformation of everything in the universe. For example, we say that plants can grow. Animals have growth and death. These laws of change are also influenced by the universe's original Han Yuanqi.
宇宙当中原始混元气的影响。
This is the function of Han Yuanqi in our universe. It is everywhere.
它的作用哪儿都有，哪儿都有。
The most original Han Yuanqi of the universe has evolved up to now,
最原始的混元气进化到现在。
and it has evolved to a very advanced level. It has evolved up to human beings.
就进化到了人。
Inside humans, there is also Han Yuanqi. Human Han Yuanqi is the basic element that sustains human life activities.
基本元素、基本要素。
Our birth, aging, illness, death, or growth and decline.
老病死，或者是生长衰亡。
These laws are also influenced by the original Han Yuanqi. Therefore, in the human body, it is not only influenced by the original Han Yuanqi, but also by the Han Yuanqi of the human body itself. The Han Yuanqi of the human body includes two parts. One part is the Han Yuanqi of our physical body. This Han Yuanqi has many similarities with that of animals. Because humans evolved from higher animals. Therefore, the physical Han Yuanqi of humans, or higher animals, such as monkeys and apes, has many similarities. At the same time, humans not only have physical life activities, but also have spiritual activities, or yishi activities. And from the perspective of Han Yuanqi theory, these are also manifestations of Han Yuanqi. It is the most advanced Han Yuanqi within the human body. It is the Han Yuanqi of brain cells, which then forms a Yi Yuan Ti. When Han Yuanqi in the mind reaches people, there is yishi activity. It is no longer called Han Yuanqi. It is called Yi Yuan Ti. This kind of Han Yuanqi of the Yi Yuan Ti has a second form of movement. The Han Yuanqi of the human body contains two elements. One is yishi. This is Han Yuanqi, the physical Han Yuanqi. When these two combine, this forms what we now know as the overall Han Yuanqi of human life. Our classmates must understand this, that there is Han Yuanqi in the human body. What is the Han Yuanqi of the human body? It is the mental activity of the human being. This kind of Han Yuanqi combines with the Han Yuanqi of human physical activity. This is human Han Yuanqi. Therefore, the fundamental difference between human Han Yuanqi and natural Han Yuanqi is that within the human body, this Han Yuanqi has yishi activity within it, and this yishi activity plays a dominant role in the Han Yuanqi of the human body. When the intention moves, the qi moves. From the perspective of Qigong, it is said like this. Intention is the commander of qi. Intention is the leader of this qi. When intention moves, qi moves. When intention moves, qi moves. When the body moves, intention arrives and qi arrives. Wherever this intention goes, the qi also goes to that place. That is to say, where intention goes, qi goes. Intention moves, qi moves. This principle is well known in the world of Qigong, and also in the world of martial arts. Everyone understands it. Those who practiced Tai Chi in the past, those who practiced internal boxing, those who practiced internal skills, all understood the relationship between intention and qi. So intention is the leader of qi. Up to here, I need to explain something to all of you. Our theory of Han Yuanqi in Zhi Neng Qigong, and the theory of qi in traditional Qigong. In what ways do they differ? Is there any difference? Traditional Qigong also talks about qi and says that the universe and all things are transformed by qi. It also speaks about yishi. When yishi moves, qi moves. Yishi is the commander of qi. These are things that are already established in traditional Qigong theory and in Chinese medicine. But we say that Zhi Neng Qigong is a completely new science. Our theory is new, the theory of Han Yuanqi. So in what ways does it differ from traditional Qigong? I will tell all of you. Traditional Qigong talks about as something from which all things can evolve. This point is the same in our theory. And this process of change, the process of change of a thing, occurs according to the natural laws of that thing. A plant germinates from a seed, puts down roots, grows, blooms, and bears fruit. These are the natural laws of a plant in the external universe. The Han Yuanqi changes according to the natural laws of things. That is to say, the Han Yuanqi in nature, its changes must follow the natural laws of things. For example, let's take the human being. Humans also have a process of growth and decline. This occurs according to human genetics. Modern science calls it genetic engineering. Their characteristics change naturally. Our function has accepted, or rather inherited, this theory from traditional Qigong. But we also need to develop it. Because the Han Yuanqi of the universe does not only change according to the natural laws of things, but is also subject to the command of yishi. This yishi can direct the Han Yuanqi. It causes changes within the human body. Qi has a natural process of change. In the past, when practicing Qigong, practicing meant accumulating enough qi. Accumulating enough qi. If there was illness, it would be cured. If there was no illness, the body would become healthy. It was simply a matter of accumulating qi. With enough qi, changes naturally occurred. That's why traditional Qigong had effects in healing diseases. But the process was long and the results slow to appear. I remember that in the 1940s and 1950s. In our world during the 1940s and 1950s, there were quite a few Qigong masters, Qigong practitioners, some together with traditional Chinese medicine. They also promoted the use of Qigong for healing diseases. But that healing process was quite slow. Let's take, for example, a famous Qigong practitioner named Yin Shizi. His real name was Jiang Weikao. He wrote a book called Yin Shizi Meditation Method. He first wrote 3 small booklets. When he was young, he was sick. He practiced for 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years, before his illness improved. But his illness was simply a mild case of tuberculosis. Reaching the 1950s and 1960s, traditional Qigong began to be practiced, and it could only treat certain chronic illnesses: hypertension, neurasthenia, ulcers and others, arthritis, the 4 major chronic diseases. These 4 major chronic diseases. Did practicing have an effect? Yes. But the minimum time you need to practice is more than half a year. To see results, practicing and seeing results takes from 3 to 6 months to see outcomes, to truly improve. For chronic illnesses to improve, it takes at least more than half a year. Some people even need to practice for 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years. Why do they have these effects? Because they integrate qi into the process, they allow qi to cause natural changes within the body. Then true Qigong is not like this. True Qigong practices Hun Yuanqi. Hun Yuanqi. It emphasizes the function of consciousness, Yishi. This Hun Yuanqi has a natural process of change, but it also has a fast process of change. Because the natural process of change is slower, it follows the natural laws of life. But the theory of Hun Yuanqi emphasizes the function of consciousness, Yishi. This consciousness can dominate Hun Yuanqi. Therefore, when you strengthen the function of consciousness, Yishi, and use consciousness to guide that qi to attack the illness, to target that illness, how consciousness will act in the future. We will talk more about the function of consciousness later. We will talk more about the function of consciousness. A thought arises, a thought guides, and that qi can begin to act. In this way, that qi begins to act. It is not just a natural change, but it is also under the control of thought. Under the control of thought. The control of thought can act quickly. Some people feel the effects immediately. I already mentioned it during the opening ceremony. Regarding bone fractures are a quite evident pathological condition. But if you add intention, when you emit qi, you make the qi enter. Where does the qi accumulate? It accumulates when there is a lot of qi. The bones heal, they repair, they repair, they repair, they repair. In a moment, the bones return to normal. This is using intention to guide the change of qi. That is why it can act quickly. Everyone might ask, what is special about this qi? How does it act? I tell all of you, this qi, its characteristic is that it accumulates and takes form. At first we say that this qi is immaterial and invisible, a special substance, present everywhere in space, and also inside the human body. This kind of immaterial qi has naturally changed throughout history and has now become tangible materials after how many billions of years. Now it is said to be more than 10 billion years for it to transform into so many natural substances. The natural change can also occur from immaterial to material. Now we use consciousness to accumulate this qi, and when accumulated, it suddenly becomes something tangible. If a bone is broken, when that bone breaks, if you accumulate the qi, the bone reconnects, regenerates repeatedly. You accumulate this immaterial qi there. You accumulate it toward the bone, and it becomes a tangible substance. The bones then grow anew. Ulcers are like accumulations and more accumulations. Then they grow anew as well. Some people are missing something. They are missing something. When this is missing, ulcers with accumulations and more accumulations can grow anew. We have seen in the movies that there is a classmate of ours who has incomplete brain development from birth. Something is missing. It is not enough. It can be effective. This is because their qi accumulates and accumulates there. It accumulates in the brain cells. Those brain cells have accumulated. These brain cells are very small, but they have grown larger. This is accumulation forms the structure. Accumulation forms the structure. There is a natural change. There is a change in yishi. That yishi accumulates and accumulates, and it manifests. We have also had such cases before, where a bone was broken, a tumor was operated on, and the bone was removed. It was no longer there. With a little accumulation and more accumulations, the bone grew back. This is accumulation forms the structure. Accumulation forms the structure. This is one characteristic. And another characteristic is that tangible matter disperses and becomes qi. Tangible matter disperses and becomes intangible. Then what does the intangible become? It became qi. it became qi. That's why in previous years we often did experiments. That were experiments to reduce body weight. Some people were very fat. In a field group, body weight decreased during the practice. Body weight decreased during the practice. Some people at most once reduced 10 kilograms during the practice. 10 kilograms. How would you sell such a big piece of meat? During the practice, body weight dropped by 10 kilograms. Where did your meat go? It transformed into qi. It transformed into qi. When we go to give lectures in a field group, we often do these weight reduction experiments. Weight reduction experiments people more or less the same. At that moment, they also lost about 1 or 2 pounds, 2 or 3 pounds, 3 or 4 pounds like that. We have people with tumors in a field group. The tumor dissolved without leaving a trace or movement. It dissolved. That tumor simply dispersed. How did it disappear? It transformed into qi. It transformed into qi. This is dispersing the mass and converting it into qi. The tumor. Cancer can transform into qi. Bone spurs can transform into qi. Several types of things can also transform into qi. Some people develop warts. Warts can also transform into qi. Some people develop calluses on their feet. Those can also transform into qi. It's softened. This is the particularity of active qi. But if there is inflammation and it swells, once it disperses and opens up, it also transforms into qi. The qi flows. That's why we say, we, the military, work with Han Yuanqi. The kai is to use. The concentration of Han Yuanqi forms the figure. The dispersion of Han Yuanqi turns into qi. This is a characteristic. And what we emphasize the most is that it is controlled by intention to function. The intention. If you want it to concentrate, then it concentrates. If you want it to disperse, then it disperses for you. It disperses for you. This is a particularity. In addition, the Han Yuanqi can penetrate each other. The original Han Yuanqi, that qi, is the finest, the most refined. It is extremely fine, therefore, it can penetrate all things. It can penetrate all things. Human consciousness, the human spirit, the Han Yuanqi, is also very fine. Inside the human body, the Han Yuanqi in the human body is the most complex, but consciousness is the most refined. Therefore, the qi of consciousness can also penetrate. As for the Han Yuanqi of all things, it can also penetrate. As for the primordial Han Yuanqi, it's not just that it passes through. Consciousness can combine with this Han Yuanqi. It can combine with the primordial Han Yuanqi. That's why when we practice Zhi Neng Qigong, we practice human consciousness. We develop the power of human consciousness, and we often think about the active primordial qi. Where is the primordial Han Yuanqi? It is in nature. It can penetrate you. In our practice field, that song is not sung like that. The human being is in the qi. The qi is within me. These lyrics were not composed randomly. They are based on our theory of Han Yuanqi. They were composed according to the logic of Han Yuanqi. We are talking about the primordial Han Yuanqi, which is everywhere in nature. It has permeability. It has the ability to penetrate, therefore. The primordial Han Yuanqi is also inside your body. It can enter and also exit. So the human being is in the qi. The qi is within me. The human being is in the qi. This is not qi. Your environment is an ocean of qi. There is qi everywhere. When we have experiences in practice in the future, especially the more sensitive people, when you stand there, still and upright, as well as swaying gently, you will feel it is almost like being in water. Everything around is qi relaxed. With a sensitive mind, you will feel this. The human being is in the qi. Everything around us is qi. After becoming more sensitive, that qi can enter, and that qi is inside my body. Speaking of this, the students then say, Master Pang, if that qi can enter and exit, why is my illness not cured? Practicing Qigong is practicing this Qi. Why can it cure things then? As I said before, if you haven't practiced Qigong, especially if you haven't practiced Zhi Neng Qigong, you don't understand the function of this Qi. You don't have this concept in your mind. Even though Qi can enter and exit, it acts on the human body according to natural laws. If you are not sick, the genetic information within your body has its own laws of change. It acts according to these laws to transform. When you are sick, something changes inside your body. It becomes inflamed, and a tumor appears. There is also a law for that here. In that law, for that tumor, having a tumor for the tumor itself, it is not considered a disease. It is not a disease for the tumor, but it is for the person. That tumor is also a natural substance. The cells of the tumor are also cancerous cells, which are also cells. In themselves, they are also a life phenomenon. So I say, you have to put yourself in the place of that cancer. The faster that cancer grows, the stronger it becomes. That's how it sees it. But for people, when that cancer grows, it is an abnormality for them. A person's life is then being destroyed. And this primordial Qi, the primordial Qi of nature, is very impartial. It is the same for all things. For people, it makes you grow. For that cancer, it can also make the cancer grow. It can also make snakes grow. It can also make flies grow. It can also make bedbugs grow. It is equal for everyone. It is said that this Hun Yuanqi is the most impartial nature, is the most just. Equal for everyone but we humans. Take the side of humans. From the perspective of human health. From a healthy perspective. So what do? We need to use the power of our consciousness. Humans have a subjective power. That is why we need to use our consciousness to resolve it, so that it acts. Acting according to human rules. Acting in accordance with health requirements. That is what we do in Zhi Neng Qigong. We take the theory of traditional Qigong one step further. The key is precisely in this place. We have discovered this. Hun Yuanqi can not only change naturally, but it can also change according to a person's consciousness. It has given us a new place. It can not only regulate the Qi inside the human body. The Qi inside the body moves once a year. It can not only have this effect, but it can also regulate external Qi. The Qi of the natural world, bringing it back for my use. It can also direct external Qi, such as the experiments we do. Experiments with agricultural crops. A single Qi emission, a field of crops making that plant grow faster, making it grow slower. You can control it, making it have an effect, so we say. Human consciousness can not only govern your own active Qi, but can also govern the active Qi of the natural world. This point is also where our military Zhi Neng Qigong has advanced traditional Qigong theory one step further in its development, increasing agricultural production in the history of thousands of years. No one has done this before. Our military Zhi Neng Qigong has discovered these laws and started to work on them. So I believe for our classmates in the care class, to talk about Hun Yuanqi, this is enough, this is sufficient. You follow the laws. This Hun Yuanqi can be controlled by your intentions. How do you think this is how it works? It can change. The Qi inside the human body can also change the Qi outside the human body can change as well. The intangible Qi, when gathered, it can take on a tangible form. Tangible things with a scattered intention, they disperse. They can disperse. If it is blocked and not flowing with the intention that it flows and flows and flows, then it will flow. My body and the active external Qi, they must flow together. Today the fixed Qi within my body for my use. For my use. I want to be healthy. If the arm does not move, just think about moving it and moving it and moving it. Control, control, control. The Qi will go there. When we talk about the effect of Yishi in the future, we will have to discuss these topics more here today. The effect of Yishi we will not talk much more in the future. When we talk about the effect of Yishi, I will have to give 2 classes. Today I will talk to the students about Hun Yuanqi. This is how I will explain it. Then this method from Professor Pang says that active qi can be controlled. Can we control it? Can we really control it? Can we control it? Comrades, let's do an experiment. Place your hands on your legs, with the palms facing upward. Now think about this hand. Think about one hand, you can think about either one. If you want to think about the left, think about the left. If you want to think about the right, think about the right. Just think about one hand, you decide which one you want to think about. What are you thinking about when you think about this hand? Think about this hand, the Hun Yuanqi concentrates here. This hand extends, this hand extends. The Hun Yuanqi arrives, there is more Hun Yuanqi. The hand extends, the hand extends. The hand extends, the hand extends. Think. Alright, compare now, align both hands below. Align the hands here. When you compare them, the hand you were thinking about has extended a little. With this kind of mental intention, you think there is more Hun Yuanqi here. There is more qi in the hand. There is more qi in the hand. More and more and more. The hand extends. The hand extends. The hand extends. This shows that our mental intention can mobilize the Hun Yuanqi. Wherever you think the qi goes there, causing it to increase, it is more. If you allow it, it will be sufficient. After it becomes sufficient, the hands can even extend, thicken, enlarge. If we have underdeveloped muscles, atrophied muscles, focus on that area. Let the Hun Yuanqi be sufficient. It will thicken, it will become stronger. Think, speak. Look, isn't it improved this way? Isn't it very simple? Think again. Put your hands back on your legs. Do it again. This brings everyone the Qigong practice. Here in our ancestral factory, it brings the Qigong practice. It brings the practice of using consciousness to control qi. Think again about that hand. The hand shortens. The hand no longer grows. The qi goes to another place. The qi has left, it goes inward. Into the body, there is less qi in the hand. There is less qi in the hand. The hand shortens again. It shortens. It no longer grows, it shortens. It shortens. Think again about your original hand. The hand shortens. It shortens. It no longer grows, it shortens. It shortens. Think. Alright, compare and observe. It no longer grows. It has shortened again. By doing this experiment, students can gain a deeper understanding of our theory of Hun Yuanqi. In a year, you can prepare Hun Yuanqi. Make it increase if you want it to increase, or decrease if you want it to decrease. If you have a tumor, think about that tumor. Imagine that the Hun Yuanqi in that area dissolves, it disperses, and the tumor shrinks, disappears. Isn't this how it disappears? It's that simple. That's why we offer here the use of Hun Yuanqi. The theory of Hun Yuanqi is the fundamental thought that guides our practice. The basic knowledge. Hun Yuanqi is everywhere. It is used wherever it is needed, no matter what illness you have. If you think about it for a year, about that illness where the energy has been strengthened, the energy flows. The tangible matter needs to be dissolved. It dissolves there. It disperses. It returns to normal. It returns to normal. If there is a deficiency there, the energy strengthens. The energy strengthens. It becomes something tangible. It returns to normal. It returns to normal. No matter what illness you have. If you have an illness, it's because something is not normal. Make it return to normal. If your blood pressure is high, then it lowers. If your blood pressure is low, then it rises. It reaches a normal level. That's why this Hun Yuanqi is completely under our control for a year of activity. So in this way, Whatever the Hun Yuanqi thinks about for a year, the qi goes there and acts. So at this point, this is part of the Zhi-Neng Qigong Hun Yuanqi theory, a special invention, a special discovery. It is also a special contribution to the field of Qigong. That's why our Zhi Neng Qigong can treat many diseases. All kinds of diseases have been treated. The Hun Yuanqi works for everyone. It doesn't work only for the human body, but also for everything else. It works for living animals and plants. It also works on inorganic, lifeless matter. Even steel can be affected. Didn't I say that during the opening ceremony, we had 2 students who had steel fragments in their heads and they were expelled? Some dissolved in the brain and disappeared from that X-ray. When looking at that X-ray, the shadow of the steel fragment became very dense, then it became lighter and lighter until it disappeared in short. The steel completely dissolved the steel, completely dissolved. We are conducting scientific experiments. The steel has completely dissolved. Let's conduct a scientific experiment. Steel also works, organic chemicals also work. Molecules also work, atoms also do. Substances at different levels can have an effect. They can all have an effect. So when you are sick with any illness, in fact, they are all inside the human body. They are all life activities. Therefore, for all diseases, there is not much difference. They can all be treated. They can all return to normal. This is what the theory of Hun Yuanqi establishes. So I hope our fellow practitioners, after listening to this brief talk, will have confidence. This illness of mine will be cured with an attack of Hun Yuanqi. It can return to normal. That is the first one, the first distinctive feature of our practice today, is the theory of Hun Yuanqi. Perhaps everyone is saying, Master Peng, the theory of Hun Yuanqi is very good, it's very good. But how can I master it? How can I master it? I am here learning and practicing our technique. Can I master it? I tell all of you that yes, you can. Why? Because in our practice teaching, we teach practice and healing of diseases. On one hand, it depends on the teacher who organizes the field should I also talk about this issue. On the other hand, it depends on our technique. Our technique is very special. The technique of our practice today seems very simple at first glance, but it is very special. What makes it special? Because it incorporates many ancient secrets from the practice of our ancestors. Through the verification and examination of our practice, while correcting it, that is, by inheriting the secrets of traditional Qigong and promoting them. During practice, the Qi within the body can become effective, can make this Qi more easily subject to the control of Yishi. And our movements. Look at the technique Peng Qi Guan Ding Fa. It seems very simple, but if you practice it, the Qi will come. Some students might not feel it immediately, so that everyone can feel it more clearly. Now in your bodies, even though people are sitting very close together, just adjust yourselves. Shift a little among you. Practice that movement of drawing in and holding the Qi. The movement of holding the Qi. Now stand up to hold the Qi. Extend both hands. Open your arms a little. Lean forward slightly if we stand straight. We use less space when holding the Qi. The good students already know how to hold the Qi. Look how it extends and moves. It moves like this. Hold the Qi like this. Hold and maintain it like this. Your shoulders should be relaxed, not just your shoulders like that. Pull them inward slightly, tighten them in. Your hands should be level. Bend backward to draw in and extend outward to hold. Bend backward to draw in and extend outward to hold. This is how you hold it. Support again on both sides like this. Supporting and moving, contracting and supporting. Contracting and supporting, contracting and supporting. When you perform this support, your fingers contract. Finally, contracting and supporting your arms should be straight. This support of the Qi contract like this, while supporting your hands move like this inside. You can feel the movement of the Qi. Comrades, do you feel something? Good. Everyone is practicing this support of the Qi. Our movements the movements of our Zhi Neng Qigong. While practicing them, you can activate the qi within your body. This means that our technique is very special. Our technique is very special. Then everyone asks, why is our Zhi Neng Qigong technique special? Why are other people's techniques not special? Why is your Zhi Neng Qigong technique special? In fact, I will tell you in traditional Qigong, there are many techniques. Many techniques. Within those techniques, a complete set of techniques, perhaps the good parts, are only a few points within a set of techniques. The good parts are only a few points, but in the past, the masters, they are not willing to share them. So I will tell you these points. He took these advantages and incorporated them into this set of practices. If you want to practice martial arts, you have to practice the entire complete set, practicing 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets, 4 sets, 5 sets, 10 sets, 8 sets. Practicing for 10 years, 20 years. Sometimes after 10 or 20 years of practice. Those really good things, the master still hasn't mentioned them. He hasn't mentioned them right. Sometimes you yourself are not even clear about it. Everyone says, Master Peng, why is it like this for us? Because our Zhi Neng Qigong has selected the best of the best from traditional Qigong. How did you select them? Through the past, when many of my teachers taught me, they taught it to us. Then we took it into practice. They say, Master Peng, where did you learn so much? I also tell everyone, because in the past, when teachers taught students, they wanted to teach good students, so that in the future they could establish their own school and continue the tradition of a school. But at the same time, they couldn't teach too much. In the past, it was said that if you teach too much, the disciple might leave the teacher without support. This is true for all kinds of techniques and arts. There is something really good in it. He is not willing to teach it to many people. And at the same time, he has to see if this good disciple, whether I will be loyal to the teacher in the future, still depends on many things. Speaking of how the teacher taught me, on one hand, the teachers manage relationships well. On the other hand, the teacher looked at me with high regard. He said that this child learns quickly, because to start practicing martial arts, you need to gather things like the meridians, the qi and the blood, especially the internal bones, the muscles and tendons and so on. You need to talk about these things. For ordinary people, learning these things is much more difficult. When you talk about the wrist bones, during the practice to separate the muscles from the bones, the teacher talks about those bones, but ordinary people can't even feel them. However, I studied medicine. When studying Western medicine, you start with anatomy. What each bone is like, how many bones there are, what each bone is like. I have a very clear image of all of that. What the blood vessels are like, what the nerves are like, what the muscles are like, I have a very clear understanding of all of that. So when the teacher says, what the bone is like here or what the muscle is like there, as soon as he says it, he mentions it, and I already feel it. In fact, I feel even more than the teacher does. They say this child is really intelligent. As soon as you tell him something, he understands it. How can he understand it as soon as you tell him? He had already studied this before. He specialized precisely in this. How could he not understand? That is why the teachers really appreciate him. As soon as they talk about yin and yang, the 5 elements, anything about the Bagua, the heavenly stems and earthly branches, or about the meridians, and the study of qi, as soon as they talk about that, I understand even more, but I won't boast about knowing more than the teacher. When the teacher says something, does the teacher still remember it? He remembers it. You say it in front of the teacher. I say, I already knew it a long time ago. That is wrong. You are not being humble. You don't listen to the teacher. But when the teacher asks something, you simply follow what the teacher says. The teacher mentions something, and you respond with something. Just saying a little more is enough. Don't say 8 things. If you say 8 things, where do you get so many? But if the teacher asks, and asks you to say a little more. And asks you to say a little more if the teacher does not ask you to say more than for now. Don't say more, so don't try to show off how capable you are in this way. Look how smart this kid is. As soon as they mention meridians and acupuncture points, he understands if you practice acupuncture and don't understand meridians, the acupuncture points are still okay, the acupuncture points are okay. That was originally my specialty. That's what I do. So in this way, I know more meridians than the teacher does and more acupuncture points than he knows. But the teacher knows many things that I don't know, because when practicing Qigong, when practicing martial arts, there are many special acupuncture points. There is a special way to accumulate qi, how it flows, how to raise and lower the qi. The old methods of practicing Qigong involve different acupuncture points, which points are effective. Regarding these issues in traditional Chinese medicine, these things do not exist. So you simply take what the master says that is special, and you mark it in your mind, you record it a little, you record it deeply, so that the impression is deeply imprinted. When the master mentions it, he says it once and you will remember it. The master listens and thinks, oh, this child is very intelligent. He doesn't forget anything he sees. He doesn't forget anything he hears. You say many things and I only remember 5 of them. You say 100 and I know 95, but I only remember those 5, so won't I remember them instantly? Therefore, in this way, the master tends to like you more. He practiced with great seriousness, so when the master saw this boy, he learned as soon as he was taught, and he was very respectful toward the master. Very humble. The master enjoyed teaching him. So in this way, the master told you the tricks this, and this. So without having practiced for a long time, the master already wanted to share his knowledge with us. With more than 10 masters, one after another. One master contributed 1 point, another master contributed 2 points, another master contributed 8 points, putting them all together. Don't they add up to many points? So in our practice, there are many practice methods that come from past masters, or even from several generations of masters, their own experiences. Then we practice and add our own perceptions, and we adjust it a bit to create something that everyone can accept. That is a new technique that is easy to accept for the vast majority of people. These tricks are no longer exactly the same as when I practiced the tricks my teacher used to talk about have changed quite a bit. Some are major modifications we made after practicing based on that foundation. And then we developed something new. So in this way, when we practice this kind of technique, we are practicing our own technique. Practice a little, and you will soon be able to master it. Also, you will soon be able to start mobilizing qi. Mobilizing the qi within the human body. Mobilizing the qi outside the human body. Sometimes we attract qi, but we cannot attract it well when attracting qi open and close, open and close. Comrades, let's do it together. Let's do the qi attraction together. All the comrades already know how to attract qi in the virtual class. We open for a few days in the department. We guide everyone in the qi attraction today. I will talk about this again in the department. We spoke about attracting qi in a general way. What I explained to you now is from a theoretical perspective. This is talking about the secrets of our practice. Practicing it alone is enough. This qi attraction, place your hands in front of your chest. The students in the back, the teachers, must observe them. Attract qi with your hands in front of your chest. Relax. Stay calm. Relax. Stay calm. Slowly separate your hands outward. Separate outward. Unite inward. Separate outward. Unite inward. Open. Close. Open. Close. Open. Close. Open. Close. Keep it closed without moving when everyone pulls. You should do it slowly. In the second section of pulling the qi, do it slowly. Some students may feel that when I pull my hands, feel as if they are tearing, and they feel that they cannot open. and when closing they feel that they cannot close. Sensitive students may experience this sensation. The smaller and slower the pulling movement is, the easier it is to generate this sensation. Perhaps at first students do not feel this. Now let's feel something different. Open. Close. Open. Close. Open. Close. Keep it closed without moving. Everyone place your left hand, relaxed and slowly extended. Use the index and middle finger of your right hand, pointing toward the palm of your left hand without touching it, at a distance of approximately 1 inch. Then, use the index and middle finger of your right hand, pointing toward the palm of your left hand, and slowly rotate in circles. Rotating in circles to beg souls. Rotate slowly. Rotate in circles. Rotate. Rotate. Second, slowly rotate in circles. Although you are not touching the palm of your left hand, you can still feel something in the palm of your left hand. What is this? This is qi. This qi has acted upon the palm of your left hand. Where does this qi come from? It comes through our qi pulling action. We have increased the qi. This hand movement guides that qi, mobilizes the qi, and acts upon the palm of the hand. Qigong is the emission of external qi, our Zhi Neng Qigong. Amidst external qi, this is it. With just a simple movement, you already feel the qi. Slowly rotate like this, in circles rotate. Can you feel something, friends? This is qi. It is that simple. In our Zhi Neng Qigong, there are many methods that are the essence of the ancient masters, their most precious secrets. We have made these secrets public. If you practice seriously, it will take effect. Everyone says that Professor Fang moves his hand like this. This is how you move your hand. Where does this qi come from? It is simply attracted like this. It is attracted like this. After attracting the qi, the hands have more qi. When the hands have more qi, it concentrates and transforms that qi, follows the transformation of yishi, and begins to function. In our practice of Peng Qi Guan Ding Fa, qi is attracted from all directions. Qi is attracted downward, pushing and pulling. Attracting qi horizontally, opening and closing. Attracting qi vertically, raising and lowering. Pushing and gathering the qi, pushing and collecting. Isn't all of this attracting qi? These methods of attracting qi may seem very simple, with a push and a pull. This simple act of attracting qi closely connects our human qi with the qi of the universe. The hands then have more qi, and the qi can flow in and out. With this simple act of attracting qi, when we attract qi horizontally, there is more qi. By simplifying this act of attracting qi, opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing, we repeat this act of attracting qi, and thus concentrate the essence of Peng Qi Guan Ding Fa. That is why some students then concentrate the essence of Peng Qi Guan Ding Fa in one single place. That is why some students, if there is no problem, attract qi, repeatedly attract qi, attract qi, keep attracting it in this way. He improved his temperament by attracting qi. That is why there is a teacher who helps everyone grow, who sends qi to everyone, send qi to the head. It is called attracting qi to the head, send qi to the head, when it comes to sending qi. Some students start attracting qi inward, attracting and filling. Attracting and filling. They just keep doing this, and their illness is cured. What is the reason? It is simply the Peng Qi Guan Ding Fa. It is just attracting qi in a simple way. It can mobilize qi very well internally because of these things. They are all tricks from past practices. They are secrets that were not passed down. So our fellow students in our Zhi Neng Qigong, don't underestimate this. These movements are not at all simple. Our compiled Zhi Neng Qigong, within these movements, They are all tricks collected from ancient masters. There are many of them, collecting a little here, collecting a little there, collecting a little over there, gathering the good parts, then we compile them again. Everything is essence. Before, it wasn't such a large set of practices. So extensive it could also be just when you practice for an hour. Within the essentials, perhaps you only practiced a couple of times this large set. You practice for an hour a couple of times now, it's not like that. We extract the best and most essential parts to practice. We always practice starting from the most essential. So the first thing you practice